Why do we conduct a research? Because there is a problem. And since there is a problem, we have to share that problem with our readers and with decision makers, with the editorial team, so that we can convince them to actually approve our text for publication, so that we can actually convince them to read our text, to read our paper, to read our thesis, dissertation, so that we can convince the others, decision makers, readers, users, practitioners, that our research is worthy of consideration. So, for every research, we actually look for a problem. Every research should solve a problem, unless it is useless. If it is not solving a problem, then it is useless. I believe that if you solve a problem in a research, at the end of a research, as the outcome of the research, then you are a real researcher. If you don't solve a problem, if you don't provide a solution, if you don't actually you don't help people suffer less, if you can't help people actually solve their problems, then you are not a real researcher. You are just article writer. Okay? Because I believe that a research at the end should end up with a solution to a problem. And if it ends up actually with a solution to a problem, then it will bring a lot of money to you, a lot of dollars to you. If you solve a problem, then you can make money, because people who have the same problem will come to you and will actually buy your product, buy your findings and data. If a company is suffering from the same problem, the CEO of that company will come to you and ask you for the data, and then he or she will give you money in return. So if you don't solve a problem, then don't start a research of any kind. If you believe that at the end you will solve a problem, then it is a real research and you are a real researcher, and it is I better say it should be done. It must be done. At the very beginning, you have to tell the readers clearly that there is a problem. It is called a statement of the problem. So, in the statement of problem subsection, you have to provide the readers with a problem statement as a concise description of an issue to be addressed or condition to be improved upon in your research or at the end of your research. As a result of your research. Whether it is a thesis or dissertation or it is a paper. In your proposal, you have to provide the readers with problem statement. You have to tell the readers what the problem is and how important that problem is, how big that problem is. Okay. It identifies the gap between the current state of knowledge and desired state of knowledge. The problem statement shows the readers that you are here, for example, today, but you should be here. The current state of knowledge and the ideal state of knowledge. For example, you wish no one suffers from one illness, for example. It is the ideal state. But today, when you are starting your research, some people are suffering from the same illness. Then we have actually difference between the ideal state here and the current state. This is called problem or problem statement. You have to tell the readers that there is a difference, or there is a distance between what you need to know here and what you really know here. It is used in research work as a claim that outlines the problem addressed by its study. But every problem, a problem statement, should be of some characteristics. If you wish to write a good research problem, then it should have some characteristics. For example, it should address a gap in knowledge. It should be significant enough to contribute to the existing body of research. It should add up something to the existing literature. Okay, you should, at the first point, the first feature is that it should address a gap in knowledge. It's better you not to do a research which is repetitive, not to duplicate. Okay, in some cases replication is acceptable, replication is allowed, but replication is not allowed all the time. If something is proven, for example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius if there is no air pressure, more than normal or less than normal. Okay, if there is no more than normal or less than normal air pressure, it boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Then there is no need to do a research with regard to that. The boiling temperature of water. It is solved forever. But if there is a gap, we don't know something, we can address. We can actually do a research. We can tell that this is a problem. We don't know something. And it should be significant enough to contribute to the existing body of literature or knowledge. It should add something. It should tell the readers, us, all people, what we don't know, what we haven't proven yet. Okay? What is missing yet. And it should lead to further research if it can actually be the starting point of a string of research, a strand of research. It can start a research chain, one after the other. That can be a good starting point. That can be a good problem. If you solve one part of it and the rest of researchers solve the other parts, it can be a good starting point. And it should be of interest to the researcher and suit his skills, time, and resources. You, as a researcher, should be interested in that. Your skills should actually fit and suit that research area, that scope. Your time, your budget, your resources actually should let you do the research. If they don't let you do, then you will leave it in the middle of the road, and then the unfinished or the undone research won't solve any problem, won't find anything, won't add anything to the existing literature. Okay, won't address any gap. This is a list of features for a research problem, a good research problem. But this is not all features. This list is not all features. Here are some cliches you can use. For example, how a major problem with this kind of application is, we know a lot about one thing, however, a major problem still exists. Then we have to solve that problem. Then I'm gonna solve that problem. in this research. This is a problem and I'm gonna solve that. Maybe after this section you might write your actually statement of purpose. In that section you will tell that I'm gonna solve this major problem. There is a major problem, and in the following subsection you tell that I'm gonna solve that problem. Lack of X has existed as a health problem for many years. For example, lack of drugs for cancer sufferers. Okay, then I'm gonna actually introduce a new formula for drugs. And if I can actually find a new formula, chemical for example formula, then we can produce a large bulk of a large number of drugs, tons of drugs, then we will help sufferers. However, these rapid changes are having a serious effect on this and that. We tell that technology is changing rapidly, but our culture doesn't change that as rapid as technology, and the staggering culture actually changes. Staggering changes in culture might lead to some problems. Technology changes faster than culture, and this might lead to some problems. And I'm gonna deal with one of those problems, for example. Despite its safety and efficacy, X suffers from several major drawbacks. In the past, we had done a large number of studies with regard to one problem, for example, and then we found some solutions or one solution. Despite the safety and efficacy of that solution, it suffers from several major drawbacks. And I'm gonna solve one by one, I mean the drawbacks one by one. For example, we created or we actually introduced a new application, mobile application, or a computer software, but it has some bugs. Okay, some actually it works improperly, it dysfunctions. Okay, then I have to solve those actually minor or major problems. However, research has consistently shown that these students lack X and this and that. We might add some wording at the end of this sentence so that it finishes. Actually, it makes sense.